Today we're going to be using the John Muir books, How to Keep Your Volkswagen Alive manual to adjust the valves. Step one is to make sure your engine is cool, whether it's sat overnight or it's been turned off for at least 6 hours. You want the engine to be cool. You'll need a flathead screwdriver, 13, 15 millimeter, 21 millimeter sockets, ratchet, 13 millimeter combination wrench, and another one similar, feeler gauge, towels, rag, and there's some optional items too. Going to start out, we're going to remove the distributor cap, and we're going to rotate the engine until we point to the first cylinder. Right now, it should be good to point out that the car should be turned off, e-brake set, and in neutral, and you should chalk your tires too. So you want to line up your pulley for top dead center so it lines up with the crack in the crankcase.
All right, there's top dead center. Got a red paint mark. Do I have a paint mark on the opposite side is the question.
It's a good idea to add a paint mark at top dead center on your pulley as well as completely opposite 180 degrees. This will make it easy to find top dead center for each cylinder as you rotate and reverse on your way through adjusting the valves.
Okay, a little excessive. All right, let's go back to one. There we go. Alright, well, gaskets are glued in nice, a little stiff. Rubber gaskets. This is number one. But alright. Do what should be routine maintenance, but usually doesn't get done. Cleek. 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 Alright, those are tight. And torque to spec. Alright, so I have never adjusted the valves on this car because it's been sitting for years. I got it out of someone's backyard or a friend's backyard, and then it sat another many years. And so, since I'm in here, I'm going to do a valve adjustment. It wouldn't hurt to just make sure the heads aren't loose. So, those 4 head studs were nice and tight. I just gave them a nice little snug. It is recommended you do that about twice a year or every other valve adjustment, just to make sure your studs and nuts haven't worked loose. You'll have way less issues in the long run doing that routine maintenance. Alright, I think those are snug down. Probably a little over 14, but that's good. Alright, push rods still spin, they're all in place. Push down on them, let me go grab a feeler gauge. All later model, you want to go to 0.006. That one's tight. That one's tight. Alright, both these are tight. So I'm just going to bust it loose using a wrench. Man. Let's see. Too loose. Too loose. Oh, that's feeling perfect. That's good. Let's just make sure. Barely get in there. So just a little before vertical.
So if you haven't done this before, there's a flathead adjustment screw and a 13 millimeter lock nut. And you use the flathead to adjust the screw and the feeler gauge to tell the right gap that you need between the valve and the rocker. Problem is, every time you move that lock nut, it moves the screw and messes up your adjustment. So you end up playing this fighting game, and it's very inconsistent because you'll think, okay, I know it's going to move it just this little bit amount, and then it either does or it doesn't. And you'll sit here and redo this many times until you get really good at it, and even then it can cause problems. Just lightly dragging. Yeah. Just make sure. Oh, a little too loose. That's the 0.7. 0.7 is too loose. We'll go a little tighter then. So your bolt is 0.006 inches of gap on all of them. But I like to keep the 0.007 feeler gauge to see if it's too loose, because if it pulls in and out way too easy, then I've got them way too loose. So I try and make it too tight for the 0.007, just tight enough for the 0.806. And sometimes it takes more than one try.
Okay, so that's definitely too tight. Too tight for some. All right. I think that's good. All right, this one.
If you haven't done one of these before, or if it's been over 20 years like with me, go ahead, take your time, redo it. Just make sure you get it done right. It'll get easier the more you do it, which is going to be often on these Volkswagen motors, about every other oil change.
It's a smidge too tight. Perfect. Maybe. Yeah, gotta work the 7, get in there. 6 is good. Get them both snug. Alright. Now we go backwards.
By backwards, I mean rotate counterclockwise, so you'll now be at top dead center for cylinder 2.
We want to the inside of that paint. That's. I got too much on there. That's a little better. Alright. On to number 2. What? No, what do you take for 6? What do you take for 6? It's fine now. It's okay. Alright. So I'm saying what it's supposed to be. 8. 8 tight. 8. Okay. Okay, just some more. We got 7. Good. Alright. Let's go for it. Make one. So that's definitely 2 suckers. Snug on these. Alright. right. What is going on with that? There we go. Maybe. Got everything on there. It's in place. Walk it back up. Boom. All right. So going backwards, 1, 2, 3, 4. Going forward, 1, 4, 3, 2. This one may have been leaking a little. It's a little dry here on the bottom side. That came off a lot easier. A walking stick just fell on me out of nowhere. You apologize, it's running off. Last one.
So I actually filmed this part at a later date. 'Cause I didn't have the valve covers at the time when I first filmed this. So, but I thought since this guy was leaking and it needed cleaning pretty good, I'd go ahead and film what it takes to put a new gasket on one of these valve covers and just, kind of clean it up. You can use a wire brush, anything to clean this off. I just had Bill scraper with me and I didn't want to get my wire brush dirty because I want to use it for something that's not greasy later. Scouring pad works really well too. This gasket's really old and it's crispy and falling apart. Usually they're a lot more supple than this. They just start leaking, so it's always good to change them out, but you don't have to change it every time. Usually only once you start seeing a little seepage going, then it's time to change them. Scraper's pretty dull, so I'm not too worried about ruining the surface on this any. But I'd be aware of using like a razor blade where you can really catch some deep gore marks into the surface and it just cause leaks and not seal properly. Make sure you clean off any old gasket material, and if someone used a RTF sealant, you want to clean that off really good. Now the gaskets kind of fit and stay in place on their own. If you want to use RTF, you're more than welcome to. Put it only on the valve covers. I like to use tacky oil, grease of some sort. That way you can just coat the whole gasket. It won't stick to the heads later. And you're not going to end up with any bits of silicone getting loose and going through your motor, clogging something up. Grease, it's just going to dissolve into the oil. But it'll hold the gasket in place. Works really well. Lucas oil stabilizer works well too. It's nice and sticky. And it kind of just permeates the gasket with some type of oil and helps it seal and stay in place and keeps it supple for longer.
Distributor cap back on. And that it's actually in the notches. Oh, I just stabbed my hand. Where's the other side? Come on. Do this with the damn camera. Come on. That's there. Vacuum line back on there. Heater's back on there. And
Oh, it's a good idea to just start the motor, make sure it still starts, runs okay, and make sure there's no oil leaking out of the valve covers that you just put new gaskets on or didn't put new gaskets on. And just get the engine warm up and stuff. Makes it good to go ahead and do your oil change next because it's always better to have flowing hot oil when you do an oil change. It'll flush any metallic particles and who knows what's in other garbage and dirt out of the motor.
alright. Well, she still starts. Doesn't idle worth a shit. Makes weird noises. Something's making weird rattling. So, valves could be bad. Something's causing a mess. And it's not water in the gas. Because, well, I'm running off a little IV bottle. Sort of. And, but it could be something with the idle valve. Is it the pump? Could be any of these weird vacuum lines that aren't sealing anything. Could be a burnt valve. Could be bad spark plugs or bad wires. Don't know. But in the process of getting stuff to tune it up. But hopefully, I can't say that it does necessarily ran better now that the valves have been done. It sounds good at high RPM though. It sounds really good at high RPM. It's low RPM where it sounds like ass. So, I don't know. Maybe we got it warm enough I can drain the oil without it being too bad.
And that there is the basics on how to do a valve adjustment and check the torque on your heads. These are basic maintenance items that you're going to need to know how to do if you plan to own an air cooled Volkswagen. This should cover the 1500cc, 1600 single and dual ports, pretty much any of the motors that were in the Type 1, Type 2 that were 1500, 1600cc. This probably follows a lot, pretty close to the Type 3s and some of the other motors too, but definitely 1500, 1600, you're covered. Doesn't take many tools, doesn't take much skill either. It's always good to know how to do and get yourself a copy of John Muir's How to Keep Your Volkswagen Alive book.